From Sci News, new species of Gondwana Notosuchian discovered in Brazil. From prehistoric to present, my name is Ethan. This is Creature Kind Live Daily News. Remember to like, comment, subscribe if you love talking about animals, and share the show with everyone you know. Now, let's get into the animal news of the day. Paleontologists have described a new genus and species of long snouted Notosuchian from the fragmentary remains found in Brazil's Adamantina Formation. So, the Notosuchians are a large branch of crocodilomorphs that inhabited the Mesozoic era, possibly into the Cenozoic as well. A new Peposuchian Parasauridae from the Adamantina Formation. So this is located over in southern Brazil and dates to somewhere around 87 million years ago to about 72 million years ago during the late Cretaceous period. So here we have Epoidisuchus tavarsii. Okay, most extensive phylogenetic analysis to date recovered, and here's just showing the branches between the two lineages of Crocodilomorph. So the Pepasukinae and the Parasaurini, and here we have Sepicae and Parasauridae, Sepicaidai, and Mahajangasuchidae. That's possibly a Madagascar lineage of Crocodilomorph. Okay, so Epoidisuchus tavarsii inhabited the ancient supercontinent Gondwana during the late Cretaceous epoch, around 72 million years ago. The ancient reptile was approximately 4 meters or 13 feet in length. Okay, so it was a smaller species of crocodilomorph, probably hunting, I'm guessing, smaller species of dinosaur at this point, and even other crocodilomorphs. Had a long, nearly tubular snout and possibly a semi aquatic lifestyle. It belongs to Pyrosauridae, a Gondwanan family of crocodilomorphs within the suborder Notosuchia. Notosuchia is a remarkably diverse group of extinct crocodiliforms, particularly in Cretaceous deposits of Gondwana, with more than 80 species described to date. So, let's take a look at the other lineages. This is a member, however, of Ziphosuchia. So this is Adamantina sucus, which was probably feeding on smaller species of insect and was no more than 25 inches in length, or maybe a little over 43 centimeters, and probably weighed somewhere around just a few pounds. And this animal inhabited Brazil somewhere around 75 million years ago. And so it had to watch out for other species of larger predatory dinosaur at the time, or different species, possibly a belisaurid that existed, maybe even megaraptorans. The problem is in this formation, outside of some small species of late Cretaceous bird, none of the theropod specimens that have been discovered have been distinguished yet as their own genus or species. So they've just been thrown into waste baskets at this point, like belisaurids, megaraptorans. There's about two or three other different theropods. It's not known who they are. And it's partially just due to, well, it's mainly due to just based off of handful of fragments. This is just simply another representation. It's very interesting because there are quite a few of these distinct crocodilomorphs with these very small, just almost short muzzle shaped skull structures. So these are a very unique group of crocodilomorphs. And here's just simply a skeletal reconstruction of this animal. It's probably quite agile, and yes, it did have the ability. Many crocodilomorphs had the ability to walk on all fours. Now, it was more of different relatives of the crocodilomorphs, like back in the Triassic period, that were mostly bipedal and did not have the ability to walk on all fours. This, however, is another species of crocodilomorph. So this is a member of the Barosuchian lineage of crocodilomorphs. This is Armadillosuchus, and yes, because it has been found with a preserved armadillo-like exterior shell to help protect itself from other crocodilomorphs, as well as theropod dinosaurs within the region. And this animal was not much more than 8 feet in length. It might have weighed some around 100 to 150 pounds. It was probably feeding on smaller species of amphibian and reptile within the Lake Cretaceous Brazil. And here's a reconstruction of the skeleton of this individual. Um, it's possible it was probably feasting on slower reptiles and amphibians. Insects were probably not going to be able to sustain this animal. Now, it is certainly possible. You have different animals today that will feed on insects as a primary source of protein, but they're also feeding on different species of vegetation to compensate for it. But it doesn't looking at the tooth structure of this animal probably wasn't feeding on different species of leaves because these teeth aren't designed for shredding leaves. They're just simply too blunt. And oh, just here's a more and less armored version, but a bit more of an accurate, just depiction. Oh, yes, this is the Armadillosuchus, just a representation against no, 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 this isn't, Armadillosuchus, I was thinking of wrong animal. There have been, like, I think 11 or 12 different species of crocodilomorph that have been discovered in this specific formation of Brazil. This is Stratitiosuchus, which was somewhere around 200 pounds and reached somewhere around 10 feet or about 3 meters in length, and was definitely feeding on different species of other crocodilomorph during this time. And here's just a closer picture of the skull of this individual. It probably had a relatively strong bite force, unlike other species of crocodilomorphs, because certain species have very long, extended snouts. Technically, he does, but despite the length, it's actually quite robust. So even certain smaller species of dinosaur would have to be careful. Even small sauropod during this time. And it's just here's simply like the overall size of this animal. It has been debate as to whether or not this animal had very, um, distinct, osteoderm or, whisker-like structures at the end of its snout, and so possibly had just, these sensory organs to help detect prey, but I just don't think that would be something you would need while on land. I think that's better for well, okay, that's not exactly true because many species today on land have whiskers. It's just very odd to find on a species of crocodile. Such taxonomic richness is also reflected in an unexpected ecological diversity, including completely terrestrial and semi aquatic forms, a variety of feeding strategies, and presumably the occupation of many ecological niches. The Notosuchian fossil record is mostly restricted to the Cretaceous of Gondwanan landmasses, including North and Central Africa, Madagascar, and the Indian subcontinent, but it was in the late Cretaceous of South America that the group achieved its peak in diversity. According to the paleontologist, Parasauridae was originally described in 1982. Despite the description of several species of parasaurids during the past 25 years and advances in the knowledge of the morphological and unique traits of the group, parasaurids have been largely excluded from broader phylogenetic studies. That is interesting considering um, the amount of parasaurid crocodilomorphs have been discovered and not sure if it's specifically, Parasaurs, but at least Notosuchians, like 80 different species. Um, but I have seen this occur with a wide variety of other families of not just reptiles, but even if you venture on into the dinosaurs, different mammals, if you go further back in time, back into the Paleozoic era, so from the Cambrian to the Permian period, you have a wide variety of different types of like sea scorpions, even tetrapods would later give rise to reptiles, mammals, dinosaurs. And there hasn't been, for some reason, a lot of just morphological studies done on them. So that is quite interesting. In their study, the researchers examined a fragmentary skull and one postcranial element of Epoidisuchus taversi. So the fossils were found in 2011 in an outcrop of the Adamantina Formation in the Baru group of this formation at the municipality of Catanduva, northwestern Sao Paulo state, Brazil. Our results provide additional evidence for the presence of Parasauridae comprising two lineages, the Orinosterine Parasaurinae and the Longosterine Peposuchinae, scientists said. Additionally, okay, so I believe these are referring to possibly two subfamilies of Parasauridae crocodilomorphs. So the Parasaurinae subfamily as well as the Pepsuchinies. Additionally, the results these would also consist of different genre and species of these crocodilomorphs. Additionally, the results of our morphospace analysis indicate that parasaurids were ecomorphologically diverse, with species exhibiting either a more putative terrestrial ecology or more semi aquatic habits, and with a great range of morphospace occupation, including spaces not explored by other Notosuchians or Neosuchians. Papuasukenai was widespread in Africa and South America during the Cretaceous. This lineage is notable among Notosuchians by possessing longer rostra, similar to generous living crocodiles such Crocodilus and some caimans. So I'm believing this is referring to their distinct snout region when we're referring to the rostra. Peposuchins are recorded from formations where semi-aquatic Neosuchians are absent or rare. In Africa, Stylochrosuchus co-occurred with Sarcosuchus, while in the great pool of diversity of Peposuchins, the Baru group in Brazil, only one putative Neosuchian was described to date, and there is no other record of large predatory tetrapods with semi-aquatic habits. Well, yeah, so Sarcosuchus and Stylochrosuchus existed in Africa much earlier, like before these animals evolved in Brazil. So they existed in possibly Egypt somewhere around 110 million years ago. So they also coexisted with spinosaurids such as Suchomimus. Spinosaurus hadn't evolved yet, as well as ornithopods like Tyrannosaurus. But Sarcosuchus was maybe somewhere around 30 feet in length. It was overestimated for some time that Sarcosuchus was the largest crocodilomorph to exist and was somewhere between 40 to 50 feet in length. And more accurate reconstructions of this animal have degraded it by at least 10 feet, but it still probably weighed upwards of 3.5 to 4 tons. So it wasn't exactly a small crocodilomorph. And even spinosaurids and most of the animals in the area had to be careful with this individual, despite it having more of a garrel sort of snout structure. It could still take down smaller species of dinosaurs, even medium-sized individuals. But might have just focused on fish. However, I can't say so much for the Stolocrasuchus. I'm simply just not very familiar with this crocodilomorph species. But it is odd that they're comparing the two. It might have to do with their distinct relativity or just how closely related they are to each other. But it's just this was over 30 million years, like before these other animals would show up. Oh, okay. So this is Morinosuchus. So this is a 20-inch long crocodilomorph, and this is a member of the Sphagosauridae lineage of crocodilomorphs, which first evolved somewhere around 90 million years ago and would go extinct at the end of the Cretaceous period around 66 million years ago. So these individuals are probably just feeding on different species of insects. And so here's just pictures of the intact, very well intact skull that we have of the Merantosuchus. And then you have the distinct sauropods of this time. I think there have been around 4 or 5 different species that have been discovered here. This is Titan, which was somewhere around 40 feet in length and might have weighed somewhere around 5 to 6 tons. This is a member of the Lithostradian lineage of Titanosaurs, more distinctively a saltosaur. As you notice, this animal is depicted with hard, round osteoderms along its core. And that's because saltosaurs have been, many species of saltosaur have been found with distinct armor like osteoderms. So, despite this animal having armor somewhat like an ankylosaur, it's very distantly related. But it is interesting, kind of like how we see the Armadillosuchus and its distinct armadillo like armor. It's not close related to the glyptodonts or armadillos, yet still has this. And the same goes for just the saltosaurs with armor. But this is the femur bone of the Titan. Titanosaurs tend to just have quite immense femur bones, especially as the larger you proceed in weight. But You also have the Mexicalosaurus, which is existed in Brazil somewhere around 76 million years ago. This individual was a bit larger than the Titan. So Mexicalosaurus was somewhere around 49 feet in length, or a little over 15 meters, and could have reached a weight of somewhere around 15 tons. So yeah, 12 to 15-ton individual. So it was one of the larger species of Irisorni titanosaurs, which technically it still is a saltosaur. So it is a member of Saltosauridae. It's just a member of the subfamily Irisorni, just like the Mexicalosaurus. Oh, is there a little more? Okay, in this scenario, we suggest that Pepasukins were occupying vacant freshwater systems of western Gondwana during the late Cretaceous. So it sounds like this specific type of crocodilomorph was a bit more semi aquatic than other species because many species of crocodilomorph that we tend to talk about during the Mesozoic as well as the Cenozoic era, that's the time after dinosaurs, they tend to be mostly terrestrial. I mean, when semi-aquatic crocodilomorphs are talked about, it tends to be the more larger species like Dinosuchus, Sarcosuchus, and then occasionally you might run into Smilosuchus from the Triassic period. So that individual did coexist with animals like Coelophysis or Postosuchus. But these individuals, like outside of that, they tend to be just mainland or terrestrial crocodiles that or crocodilomorphs that rarely venture into the water. So this is really good to hear that we finally have found another species that is semi-aquatic because the other crocodilomorph species I mentioned, they were pretty much mostly terrestrial. Now, maybe Stratiotiosuchus might have been somewhat semi-aquatic, but even when you're looking at the overall physiology or the morphology of that individual, it's quite terrestrial based. So let me know what your favorite species of Brazilian dinosaur is in the comments. And from prehistoric to present, my name is Ethan. This is Creature Guy Live Daily News. Remember to like, comment, subscribe if you love talking about animals, and share this show with everyone you know because nothing is better than all animals all the time.